In the valley of Elah, a shadow stretched across the parched earth, heavier than the ancient mountains themselves, signaling the arrival of a legend. Every thunderous step was a warning, a rhythmic vibration that rattled the shields of men and stirred the dust into a swirling haze of dread. For 40 days, the air had been thick with a terror so cold it paralyzed the hearts of those who claimed to be warriors. He was Goliath of Gath, a mountain of brass and steel, whose very presence seemed to blot out the morning sun from the sky. But amidst the trembling ranks, one pair of hands remained steady, unbothered by the weight of the moment or the size of the enemy. The valley was a stage set for a clash of civilizations, where two armies stood divided by a narrow ravine and an impossible challenge. The giant bellowed a challenge that echoed through the canyons, a roar of pure defiance that demanded a champion to meet him in combat. The response was a silence born of despair. No man moved forward, they only retreated into the safety of their own shadows. From his height, the opposition looked like nothing more than ants, scurrying in the dirt, waiting for the inevitable hammer to fall. Into this atmosphere of doom walked a boy, a shepherd from the hills of Bethlehem, carrying only his faith and a simple staff. He did not look like a hero of old, yet his spirit was unyielding, observing the chaos with a clarity that others had lost. Against the vast machinery of war and the thousands of seasoned soldiers, he stood alone, a small figure in a very large world. They mocked his youth and his lack of armor, laughing at the thought of a shepherd boy challenging the champion of the Philistines. But David's voice rang out with a conviction that silenced the jeers, declaring that the battle was not won by sword or spear. King Saul looked upon the lad with a mixture of pity and wonder, seeing a strength he could no longer find within himself. In that moment, a subtle change occurred, a divine spark that set the young shepherd apart from the rest of the world. He stepped out into the open sun, crossing the line between safety and destiny, heading toward the giant who waited below. Goliath laughed, a sound like grinding stones, amused by the small creature sent to face his wrath and his invincible armor. But the boy did not flinch. His eyes were fixed on a point between the giant's helm, seeing the victory before it had begun. The wind began to rise, swirling around him as if the very elements were gathering to witness the impossible event about to unfold. He reached into his bag and chose his weapon. Not a blade of steel, but a simple stone, smoothed by the waters of the brook. The sling began its dance, a whistle of leather cutting through the air, gathering speed until it was a blur of lethal precision. In a heartbeat, the world slowed. Time itself seemed to hold its breath as the stone was committed to the air. It flew straight and true, a tiny messenger of fate crossing the divide, carrying the hopes of an entire nation on its path. The giant's laughter died in his throat. In that final second, he saw the truth, but it was far too late to move. The impact was a thunderclap. The small stone found the one weakness in the giant's armor, striking with the force of a falling star. The world tilted. The mountain began to crumble, swaying in a slow, agonizing arc toward the earth that had once trembled beneath it. When the giant fell, the crash was louder than any roar, a massive explosion of dust that swallowed the valley in a gray shroud. The earth groaned under the weight of the fallen champion, a shockwave that reached the feet of every man watching from the hills. Then there was silence, a deep, heavy quiet that hung over the valley as the dust slowly began to settle on the giant's back. David stood in the center of the storm, his task complete, his posture as calm as the morning he left his sheep. Suddenly, the heavens seemed to open, as if the light itself wanted to crown the new hero of the people. He was no longer just a shepherd boy. He was the symbol of hope, a reminder that no giant is too big to fall. The silence was broken by a roar of joy that shook the mountains, a celebration that would be remembered for 1,000 years. the story of the boy and the giant would live on, a timeless tale of faith, courage, and the power of a single stone.